This is a WWN Publishing Group recording. Copyright 2016, all rights reserved. This is an abridged version of Killmore by Martha Sweeney to make the story appropriate for all listeners. If you want to read the complete story, you can find the ebook or paperback online. Links are provided in the description below. Killmore, Book 1 of the 2-book series. Read to you by the author. Chapter 9, Laurie. It's a good thing that I'm a morning person because Marcus and Jacob are knocking on my door at 8. I am so sorry, Trudy apologizes with a yawn as I open the door. Why, you know I'm up early. And I expected this, I laugh. You don't understand, she comments. They had me up at 6, on my day off. My smile grows in reply. Which way do you want me to go? Asks Marcus. You can cut through the house, or you can head right back outside using the garage, I say, whichever you prefer. The boys dart down the hall, through the mudroom, and into the 2-car garage. Trudy and I perch ourselves in the doorway as we watch the boys inspect the truck. Kane and Mabel follow them, feeding off the boys' excitement. It's not a brand new one, I explain, but she's pretty close. I don't care, Marcus replies heavily. Thank you so much. She shouldn't need any work anytime soon, but you boys should have all the tools you need between your garage and mine if you should need to fix her up, I remind. Their dad was great at fixing cars and trucks, and he's the one I learned a lot from to be able to do more than most women. Marcus puts the keys in the ignition and turns it just enough for the radio to click on. I set a few stations to the ones you like, I announce. Feel free to add more. She's yours now. 20 minutes later, the 6 of us leave. Trudy and Jacob head home, while I have Marcus take Kane, Mabel, and me for a drive. Where are we going? Marcus asks after I instruct him to stay straight to head out of town. You'll see, I return with a smile. 30 minutes later, after several text messages back and forth with Trudy about how the drive is going and if we're there yet, Marcus and I arrive at Henderson's gun range. The excited smile that has been plastered all over Marcus's face since the moment I saw him this morning disappears as he takes in the surroundings. It's time for the last part of your present, I inform. Seriously? He checks with a very controlled tone. Seriously, I verify. You're ready to start learning how to shoot. How did you get Mama to agree to this? He asks, staring up at the big sign on the building. It was easier to convince her to do this than the truck, I share. Really? He chuckles. Yep, but I have my ways, I tease. Really? He checks with a smirk. Really? I confirm. Okay, he says with a hint of confidence, like he knows he's been given a huge responsibility and is willing to accept it. We're not from a dangerous town, especially when it comes to the people in it. We only have 6 deputies and 1 sheriff, and our crime rate is next to nothing. When the tourists come in, there's a little activity, but it's just little stuff. Nothing major happens, just the usual stupid drunkard type of shenanigans that occur. The town isn't a huge gun town, but most of the men do own at least 1 or 2 for hunting or to scare off any large or small critters that may pass by their properties from time to time. I convinced Trudy to let me teach Marcus how to use a gun, stating that it's better to have the skill and not need it than need it and not have the skill. Most of the men from the tribe prefer bows and knives, but have some guns for emergencies. Plus, since Trudy owns a gun and knows how to use it, I remind her that it's time Marcus learns before he or Jacob find it. Aside from the fact that Marcus is a responsible young man, I can't call him a kid anymore since he's only 1 year away from being an adult. Marcus will learn a lot about himself and the world from learning how to defend himself. Well, I begin. You already know wrestling moves and some self-defense that I've taught you. Now it's time to know how to handle a weapon. Jerry, the owner of the range, gets Marcus and me set up at the beginner's side. I sit with Marcus as he watches a basic and required gun safety video before he can get started. He takes a quick test and gets his membership to the range under my account. Next, Jerry does a rundown of a few things about the range and other gun type instructions with Marcus before turning us loose. Once we've set up the target, before I have Marcus put on his headphones, I go over a few things with him. Remember, I begin, there are several things to always remember when holding and handling a gun. Rule number 1, regardless if the gun is loaded or not, do not ever point it at someone unless you need it for self-defense. Always have the barrel facing the ground while you hold it until you're ready to shoot the target. Got it, Marcus answers nervously. Rule number 2, relax, I encourage. I give him a second to breathe out a few of his jitters. Now, as you can see, I say, ejecting the magazine clip out. This gun is empty. For safety's sake, it's best to handle a gun empty at all times until you plan to use it. When you're done practicing, you always empty out the last remaining bullets, even if it's by you ejecting the clip and removing them without firing it. I demonstrate the action of loading and unloading. Marcus nods. Mama says guns aren't safe. With a soft smile, I take 3 items out of my purse and place them on the table around the gun. You see these? Yeah, Marcus returns with a puzzled look. These could be unsafe, I say flatly. Marcus laughs. How can your keys, a paperclip, and a pen be unsafe? Because, I say, waiting for a few extra seconds for the dramatic effect, even these items, as regularly looking as they are, can be used as a weapon. Seriously? Marcus gasps with an uncertain chuckle. Seriously, I confirm. The government can say what they want about guns, knives, and even certain sized liquids going onto an airplane. But even these items could be used to kill someone. That is, if someone really wanted to do it. How? Do you really want to know the answer to that question, I check? Yes and no, Marcus admits. I want to be aware, but know in the sense of knowing how I or someone else could. When you grab a pen like this, I comment, grabbing it at one end with the other running down my forearm, whether the cap is still on or not, it can do damage. An eye, the jugular, or even the thigh can be penetrated if you use enough force. My hand moves around slowly, demonstrating the action of where and how to strike. I give him a second to process my statement. The same goes for a paperclip and keys. It's all a matter of how you hold them and how you use them. I illustrate the different ways in which to hold the last 2 items and manipulate them to cause damage. Marcus has a look of fright suddenly appear in his eyes. What? I ask calmly. It's freaky to know you know that, he says. How do you know that? Let's just say, I don't ever want to have to use any of them like that, but I know just in case for self-defense and don't have a gun or knife close by, I comment. Marcus stays quiet, seeming more unsure and nervous. This isn't meant to scare you, I mention. I'm not scared, Marcus challenges with a crack in his voice. It's okay, I soothe. I was scared the first few times too. This isn't about really using a gun or any kind of weapon. It isn't, Marcus checks? No, I confirm. All of this, any of this, is meant to inform you, educate you. The key concept of any of this is awareness. Awareness of your environment, which includes the people and objects that are around you just as much as the location. And, even more importantly, self-awareness and self-control. Marcus's shoulders visibly relax a little as the purpose of our visit starts to sink in. After a few more moments of letting him process everything I've said, I go through a few more small bits of information about the gun, pinpointing the names and locations of the handle, trigger, barrel, and most importantly, the safety switch, along with a few other descriptions and explanations. Placing the gun back down on the table, I say, "Pick it up." "What?" Marcus asks nervously. "Just pick it up," I repeat. "It's empty. You know it is. I just want to see how you handle it knowing it's empty and after everything we went through." Marcus's hand shakes as it reaches forward. I smile and reassure him as I get him to take some deep breaths. "Good," I praise. "Perfect. You remember to point it toward the ground." Marcus timidly smiles. "Now," I say, "I want you to turn, face the target, and pretend that you're going to shoot it." "What?" Marcus gulps. "Pretend like it's one of your video games," I coax. "The zombie is at the other end of the range and is coming for you. Lift the gun, point it at him, the zombie, aka the target, and pretend to shoot him." Marcus follows my instructions tentatively and jumps a little when his finger presses hard enough on the trigger, causing it to make a clicking sound. "Good," I praise. "Not bad. Now, see how you're holding the gun?" "Yeah," his voice shakes. My hand reaches to direct him to turn his hand and the gun. "Hold it like this," I inform, talking calmly and moving slowly so I don't spook him. "Good. Now use your other hand to support this hand." "Good. Never hold it like this," I say, turning his hand sideways. "You'll never get an accurate shot and the kickback of the gun could hurt you." "Kickback?" Marcus checks. "When the gun fires, the kickback is what happens from the force of it propelling the bullet," I share, taking a hold of his arm and jutting it back to emulate the sensation. "When you don't have a proper hold of the gun, you could injure yourself. You know how some movies show people being thrown back? Yeah, that's a kickback," I explain, "and it's possible." "Oh, okay." I take the gun and place it back down on the table. Right as I'm about to instruct him to repeat what we just did, Marcus says, "Hey, Laurie." "Hey, what?" "Can I ask you something?" he inspects. "Sure," I say. "How are you so comfortable with guns?" Were you like this right away? No, I admit. I hated them for a long time. Marcus nods and doesn't ask anything else, as if he senses that there's more to my statement. You ready to repeat what we just did, I say, moving us forward? Yeah, he replies a little more confidently. Marcus takes the same position as before, and I barely have to correct his posture, but I do need to point out his stance and where to place his feet for support and balance. An hour later, Marcus is more comfortable with a handgun. He's reloading it himself for another round. Once he empties the magazine, we call it quits for the day, wanting to stop while we're ahead. I offer to drive back, seeing how the adrenaline of today's events have him jacked. Hey, Laurie, Marcus asks 15 minutes into our drive home after nothing but silence. Hey, I answer. Never mind, he deflects. What is it? I press gently. Thank you, he says. Thanks for trusting me, and thanks for getting Mama to trust me too. You're welcome, I return. Guns are only dangerous when you don't understand them or how to use them. They're like an extension of your body. When you have enough self-awareness and confidence with one, you're able to think more clearly in situations. Yeah, he sighs, but his face shows he doesn't quite understand. Remember what it was like learning to drive at first? I search. Marcus lets out a nervous laugh. Yeah. Learning to handle and shoot a gun or any new task is the same, I explain. It's weird and awkward at first, but the more you get used to it, the more you get comfortable with it. That makes sense, he agrees. Like I said, I continue, it's better for you to know and not need this skill than need it and not know it. Is that what happened to you? Marcus asks suddenly. I'm left speechless as my hands tighten on the steering wheel. I've seen the scar on your shoulder, he reveals. I know you've tried to hide it with a tattoo, which you have. Most people don't see it. I've just seen it because of studying the lines of your tattoo over the years when you don't wear sleeves. Just between you and me, I check. Just between us, Marcus confirms. I take a breath, readying myself to answer, knowing that when Marcus and I do exchange the words, just between us, we know that's exactly what we mean from a few times prior. Yes, I say lowly. Is that a gunshot wound? He explores. My head nods confirmation. What's it feel like? He searches. You know, to be shot. Not expecting his question, I let out a controlled breath while trying to also figure out how I want to answer. Scary, I mumble. It's a sharp, burning pain that spreads deep into your soul. Did you think you were going to die? He asks. Part of me did, I answer truthfully in a low tone, keeping my eyes on the road. This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. To read the full, unabridged version, you can find a link in the description below. To find out about new releases before the general public, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. You'll find a link in the description as well. Also, to be notified when the next chapter is published, make sure you subscribe to my channel.